All right, here we are.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
We're so excited.
So excited. Another episode of the ZENden. And today we're super, super thrilled to be here because we just adore our guest, Kristin Lenz. And we met Kristin when we did our first focus group retreat for our Zenith workshops.
That was a fun weekend.
So fun. And you were a guest. And so we didn't know you. That was a couple of years ago, right? 3 years ago. And we just thought, now that we're doing ZENden and interviewing entrepreneurs, kind of a no-brainer to interview you. She owns this beautiful shop in Minocqua, Wisconsin called the White Arrows Home. And we're going to talk to her a little bit about how she got there and what brought her to do this. And at the end, we'll tell you a little bit more about other things Kristin does. So
I have an antique and home goods shop. It's really more of a lifestyle shop. There's a little bit of everything here.
Yeah.
Gifts, books. We even have, room sprays and pantry items. We have a little bit of everything.
Really cool hats.
Yeah. Decorating people's homes.
Yeah.
Trying to educate and encourage people. That's one of the things I care about most with my blog and on social media and everything I'm doing. I love to encourage people. And
kind of a creative way for us, our audience, to get to know you. So if you were a series or an episode on Netflix,
oh gosh,
what category would your story be under? Trending now, action and adventure, drama, or a comedy?
Ooh. It's definitely not drama. Okay. Because I stay clear of drama. I mean, knock on barrel chairs. I do not have a lot of that in my life. So it would not be drama. Probably like trending now. Like, I want to know the things that are happening like all the time, learn new things, what's the new things going on, and awesome. So I think trending now would be good. Would be on Netflix.
So tell us what the trailer would be for this Netflix series.
Oh goodness. Well, there would be a lot of Northwoods scenes, but I guess almost would make it look like an adventure movie, right?
You never know what you're gonna get up here,
right?
Weather or otherwise.
Yeah. So just the wonderful life that we have up in the Northwoods, and that's kind of the backdrop to everything that I do. It inspires my decorating, it inspires my lifestyle, it inspires the pace of my life. Yeah. So I think it would be a lot of Northwoods scenery and seeing me walking my dogs, seeing me sitting on the dock, seeing me do all the things that we do that make up a part of my day.
One of the things that we've been recently doing in our retreats is we talk about the genie jar. Okay. So I'll set it up a little bit for you. So the genie jar, if you think about Aladdin, and the genie comes out and he gets 3 wishes, right? And so hopefully those wishes come true, but ultimately with all the wishes that Aladdin wants, there's work that has to be done to make those dreams come true.
Right.
So thinking about back to your 13-year-old self, what was one of those wishes you had when that genie came out of the jar?
Oh goodness. Well, I wanted to have a big family. That came true. I have 5 kids. I think my 13-year-old self just felt like anything was possible. I always wanted to be a writer. Back then I wanted to be a teacher. I did start my life as an elementary school teacher. I taught 3rd grade and 5th grade, and I loved every minute of it. Things change as you start to grow and be different, but I'm proud of who I was at 13 and who I am now. So.
Wow.
And my husband and I talk about this a lot. Like, if we could have seen the future and that I'd be with you and we'd have all these kids and we'd live way up here, because I grew up in Texas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So this is such a different,
it's a
different world.
Very different.
Yeah. Where lakes freeze and it's fantasy land. This is Chronicles of Narnia, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So how did what you did prior bring you to where you are today? How did it help sort of with the process, or what intrigued you or put you in this direction?
I stopped teaching to stay home with my kids, and I naturally, every volunteer opportunity I took up, whether
they must have loved you.
Yeah.
Service league, school, any of that stuff. I was decorating for the events. I was helping plan all those kind of things. People would want to have it at my house. It was like your natural gifts can lead you to what
and a lot of times
you want to do.
Someone else kind of shows you what you're doing that is really, you're not even seeing it sometimes.
Yeah, it points it out for you.
Yeah.
Like, I bought the those yellow books, the whatever for dummies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought blogging for dummies like 15 years ago or something.
Oh my gosh.
So I started blogging, and then people would ask me where I got my furniture, or how did I do this, and I'm like, well, I should sell it to them then.
Yeah, right.
And so having a shop was always one of my favorite things.
What are some of the tools other than the blogging for dummies? What other tools did you use to get started?
I mean, starting the blog, starting a small business, anything we start, it's like learning a foreign language.
Right.
So I definitely, nothing I've ever done has been on my own. So searching out, a friend who's a graphic designer to help me come up with a logo. Like, here's my idea, can you help it come to life? Going to workshops, conferences, taking online courses.
Yeah.
There's always something. Reading books, reading personal development books. It's not even things that are just about blogging. Michelle, you were mentioning earlier all the things people are like, oh my gosh, you do so many things, right? All of us are like that.
Right.
You're like, how do you get so much done in a day?
Right.
And I'm like, well,
Prioritize.
number one, prioritize. Can't do it by myself.
Right.
Like, I have a team. And it's just how you spend your time too,
Right.
like how you choose to do it. So,
And that kind of like eases into the next part of this, is how do you set boundaries though?
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do I set boundaries?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one. I've become a morning person, and I was never a morning person. I wasn't crabby, but I love to cuddle up and just stay in bed as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I was more of a night owl.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, after reading some books and just knowing that it's good for me to get up and get going, that has really helped me have more breadth in my day, because I get up at 5, the kids start coming down at 6:30. To have that hour and a half where I do a quiet time, I read my Bible, I read and journal, it sets up the whole day.
Yeah.
Where my boundaries are a little bit easier to set because I've gotten important things done.
You're centered.
Yes.
Yeah, morning time is
It's huge.
it's huge.
Yeah. Keeping my family a priority is huge to help me with my boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I do like to say yes to everything, and I like to be with my friends, but I like to be with my family. So if I keep my family the priority, and then what do I have time for on top of that?
Yeah.
But I'm also at the phase too where my kids are getting older. It's getting easier for me to have time to do things at the ages they are, because my youngest is an 8th grader. He's 14.
Mm-hmm.
So he's my only one not driving. 3 kids are out of the house.
Yeah.
So just
Gets easier as
understand-
they start to
So
get their
understand where you
independence.
are in life.
Can you share with us some productivity hacks that you've learned over the years so you can manage that?
Well, it's number one. I think the morning, right, is one thing that's starting to help out a ton. I try to do Tuesdays at home and not at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesdays I stay home to do pictures and styling and get things ready for the blog, do videos and anything like that I need.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to put it in through the week. It'll get pushed off. So if I do all that stuff on Tuesdays the best I can. I'm a big list maker. I love checking things off lists. I love blotting up that piece of paper and throwing it away. I'm still a handwrite, so then I have things I do certain days. I'd look on the financials on Thursdays and the budget stuff, and Mondays I prep for my podcast, Thursdays I record the podcast. So as much as I can stick to that, keeps things calm, gets more done. Get a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
That's
that
huge.
helps a lot too.
Yeah. Oftentimes when we're building something and we have a dream and we kind of know where we want to go, there are people that support us, and then there are people that maybe, through no fault of their own, maybe they dull our shine a little bit.
Yeah.
And when that happens, how has that affected you?
I had an aunt that my mom told me, she said, oh, she's always bragging about this or that. And I'm like, I'm actually just trying to help encourage you with something, but I have to share myself to do that.
Right.
So you have to pick and choose what you're going to listen to and what you're not. I think having supportive of people around you that you can throw things off of and say, I heard this today. And when they start laughing, then you're like, oh, I guess that wasn't something to take personally, right?
Right.
And then not comparing is huge.
Right.
And I have to work at that really every day too, because when you are on social media or other things, and to be like, I'm just going to share what I am, and what the likes, they're great, but it doesn't define what I'm sharing or what I'm doing. But I'm also one of those extroverted introverts, right? Like I get fueled up by having quiet time at home alone.
Yeah.
And then I love all the social things too, but I do need some quiet time too.
Yeah.
So.
It's good you know that. Have you had something recently that you felt really reflected you championing yourself?
just seeing the shop continue to grow is a great thing, because the shop also fits all those things that I want to put out into the world. You know, the hospitality. I want every person that comes in to feel welcome and wonderful. I just got a book deal.
Oh, this is exciting.
So I'll be writing a book. Right now it's called Follow Your Arrow.
Okay.
Aww.
So, because that fits,
So
I mean, the name of my shop, White Arrow's Home,
Yeah.
is because in the Northwoods, everything is a White Arrow. For anybody who's not from the Northwoods. And I just love that thought of, you know, following your direction. I call it how to find more direction and connection in your life. Because that's what I hear most from women, is that they feel alone and they feel, you know, so they're searching for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about that. I don't know if the title's going to stay. So we'll see as we work through with the editors and things.
I do love that title though.
Yeah.
I do too.
I'm like-
It fits perfectly.
Or if they don't use it for that one, then I can use it for another one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a day in the week of Kristin. What is
Like, what does a day for me look like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get up at 5. That's been like the last few months. Since summer. That's what I've been trying to do. On a school day, I do let myself sleep a little later on a weekend.
Yeah.
And then I go out and I make a little detox tea. And then I sit down and I read my Bible study. And then, actually I drink a big thing of water first with lemon and mineral. And then I do brain exercises. So I have these, they're called reflexers. These books of like logic problems, and I do a Sudoku, and I do a little. I know it sounds like a lot.
No, it's so good for you.
But I look forward to it. I make the kids breakfast in the morning while I do those, and then they come down, and I love sitting and visiting with them in the morning. Then the goal is that I'll start in the new year, then doing my workout and get ready for work. And I always do a cold shower at the end of my shower.
Oh, you got a little Wim Hof going on here. Wow,
Yeah. So I
good for
always
you.
turn it cold. And then I love to fit in a coffee with a friend in the morning on the way to work. Because work is
Soul
hard,
filling.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Cheap therapy.
Yep. Yes.
And coffee shops are like one of my favorite things. I love being in a coffee shop. So try to do that, then come to work. And I love being at work. I love the people I work with. And then, like I said earlier, it depends on the day what I'm working on at work. So I do have an office that I can get away and work quietly. And then depends on how many clients I'm working with too. Right now I'm doing a whole house.
I heard that. Big one.
Oh my gosh.
For somebody who lives in California. So
Oh my
I have, I'm there a lot right now, getting that ready. And then I go to kids' activities. Or I have this new thing in my life where there's no one home. So I get home and I'm like, that's a big thing. Like, how do you use that time? You know, what I'm going to read or do another workout or what I'm going to do.
Right.
And then we try to eat together if we can. And then we always, as a family, have watched something at night, whether it's a football game or a movie or 80s TV shows. It's like our big thing since they were kids. It's like made this bedtime routine that they've loved with their kids. And this like language between us as a family that we quote all these shows from. I mean, we've watched every series we can think of. It sounds like a lot in a day, but it's stuff I look forward to. And
Well, so many good takeaways. I mean, a lot of what we like to talk about are things that people can use as tools in each of these categories, right? And those are all things that you've established that fill you up. So
We're going to move to courage.
okay.
So all these different things that you're starting to dabble, whether it's the book or just moving the shop, all that. Obviously, there's probably, I would guess, some fear that comes into play. So when fear and that like second guessing comes into play, like how do you overcome that?
The biggest one is like self-talk and what I tell myself. So sometimes I'll be going to a client or I'll be, coming to the podcast and like, girl, this is what you do. This is what you do, and like music is huge for me too. So listening to encouraging music, rereading scripture that's really motivating to me and like relying on those promises and listening to the music, like having a walkout song. Like if you're going to do something, I got a little playlist for all different kinds of things.
Oh yeah,
we'll
have to have you work on ours. So on this journey, what obstacles have presented themselves?
I think there's ideas I want to do, like even at the shop. I'd love to do more events and more workshops and things, and especially where we live, we don't have as many people all the time. It's seasonal sometimes. So there's things we've tried that nobody shows up for.
And there's weather up here.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So some of the things that I'm like, this should work.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Yeah.
And then I have to tell myself, it might work next year.
Yeah.
You know, I still think it's a great idea. It's just not going to be right now.
Yeah.
So another one of those, don't take it personally. And it didn't work. We'll try it again another time.
With that vulnerability piece, it's hard to go on to like everyone and be so vulnerable about it. So tell us how does that feel? How's vulnerability with you? Is it easy to do, or do you struggle with that, and what do you do to get through it?
Yeah, it's pretty easy for me, but I also don't like to dwell sometimes in some of that.
Yeah.
So how are you vulnerable to the whole public, and how are you vulnerable then with just your friends or your family?
Right.
Yeah.
So with the public, I read what my audience wants, a little of it, and then what I feel is important to put out there too.
On to connection. So we know that you lead a group of women up here in the Northwoods and that support each other and do come together to really share ideas and network. So tell us a little bit about that group, and then is there someone that is a mentor to you, and is there someone that you're mentoring right now?
Even though I have a shop here and there's other antique shops, there's other home decor shops, we don't need to be in competition. We can help each other. If we all come together and we can bring people to the Northwoods, or we can help and encourage each other, we're all going to benefit from it. So I started a group of young women. Well, I'm not very young anymore, but so women entrepreneurs that have small businesses up here. And it's not limited to women or limited to, small businesses even. Just surrounding myself with other encouraging people that when you say an idea, they're not going to go, well, we've tried that. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
That want to come up with great ideas together, or say, I don't know if that'll work, but maybe we try it this way.
Right.
Or this month was horrible. What was it like for you? So to be able to bounce ideas off of each other.
So
you need somebody that understands some things from the perspective that you have. Like, we got to make sure we pay our bills. We have to make sure we pay our employees, like all those kind of things. We try to meet once a month, and each of us will host different ones, and hopefully it'll grow into more to help the community. I've also done a shop hop with businesses from other communities where we try to say, go to this shop and go to that shop and go to that shop.
That's lovely.
And we did an antique crawl with the antique shops in town. So how can we all work together?
Yeah.
A lot of the books and podcasts, the books I read, the podcasts I listen to, like my mentors don't have to even be people I know personally. But because I'll have people come in the shop, and often it's their husbands that'll come over and say, she's afraid to tell you, but she follows you and she feels like you're her friend, But I feel that way about people I follow too.
Right. Yeah. Like you know them because you have similar
Right.
interests and
But my mom, I call my mom all the time and talk things over with her, or she's just a great sounding block. And then Brian, my husband, and even my kids, I love to talk to them. The people I work with, what they say, the 5 people you surround yourself with, that's who you're gonna be the most like. So that's pretty intentional. I have a couple of people in my life that I'm like, I don't really see them very much anymore, and they haven't really been around when my shop opened, and these things. And another one of those, do I take it personally, or it's like, no, they were in my life for that chapter, and now it's on to the next one, or
a season and a reason. Right.
Yeah. So
my question is 2 parts, and because we're in this beautiful space, and if you haven't been to the shop, you'll see like all sorts of spaces that are perfectly set for a wonderful bar scene or coffee spot or dinner and all that. So first of all, if you could have coffee or dinner with one person, historical person, who would it be? And what would the scene look like? Where would you be sitting in your shop talking to them?
the first things that come to mind are like Maya Angelou, or people that you just want to listen to their voice and listen to their wisdom for a while, right? Mm-hmm. Like just sit down with them.
Yeah. Right.
Like I'd love to have more time with my grandmother. The person who wrote the Bible study I'm just doing, Priscilla Shire, she is so motivating and wonderful. And where in the shop would it be? Well, probably where we thought about maybe doing this, you know, we call that our Montana area because it's kind of a Western theme in that area, Yellowstone or something like that. Yeah. It's got this velvet blue couch, and you never want to get off a velvet couch.
No. Everyone should have a velvet couch.
Right? These little barrel chairs are actually really comfortable.
Yeah, they're so comfortable. I've looked at these many times. Yes. These should be in our little poker room.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So some are comfortable that we could just sit and linger and talk. And feel like we were friends.
All right, so we're in your ZENden, and we're kind of wondering, because the store is so beautiful and there's so much going on, what sparks your creativity?
Organized clutter.
Yes.
So I love to be
It would
surrounded.
describe my life.
Right. Yeah. I don't mind stacks of books and my 4 notebooks of things I'm working on. Like my computer, I have like 20 tabs open. It drives some people nuts. I'm like, yeah, but it keeps me organized to know those are all open.
So I know you, like, especially in the summer, you're traveling around to all the flea markets, all the junk jamborees, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest thing that you've purchased and brought into your shop that someone paid money for?
Before I had this shop here, I had opened a booth out in Montana where we spend a lot of time. And I bought this chair. So they're getting it and they're cleaning it and they lift up the seat and there's dentures under the seat.
Why there?
Right?
That's
It made it through the auction and everything, and there's these dentures under the seat. So in the shop, the owner had like a antique medicine cabinet, and she stuck the dentures in by some of the old antique like medicine jars and Band-Aid things.
Yeah.
They sold on their own.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Who knows?
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the genie jar, genie lamp already. Let's fast forward now till today. What is your dream for 5 years from now? What would you ask the genie right now if it came out of the jar?
I'd like to have a couple of books out. So take this tongue in cheek. I want a fleet of vintage vehicles.
Oh, fun.
You know, I want.
Yeah.
I have a vintage camper, and we use the camper for so many things, for pop-ups and Christmas cards for people, and so just more ways to make people happy.
Well, we have a little gift to remind you about how important dreams are in the work to get them done.
I dream of genie.
Yeah, put that on your desk, you know, and just when you look at that, you know, can think about those dreams.
Thank you. That's so fun. Kind of like I gave a friend a frog that she could kiss. You know, because she was like, I'm waiting for a husband, you know, for so long. And everybody else is getting married, and I'm like, yours will come. And he did come.
Yeah.
You know, and she said that frog meant so much.
Aw, that's lovely.
It's like my little frog.
Yeah.
And one of the modules that I've been talking a lot about is the Zen and the Xena in us, right? The Zen that keeps us peaceful, but the Xena, that warrior that just makes us do really incredible things. And everything you shared today was like the perfect model of that. And so, I mean, it was like, wow, like you're like the the poster child for like for what we've been talking about. So I just appreciate you, and
we will definitely share with everyone links where they can find you. There's a lot of places you can find her.
My mom would be like, I saw this summer, but I don't remember what it was.
We're gonna have her back about her podcast. She's got a really cool podcast and all kinds of other things going on. So thanks for being here on another ZENden episode.